You know, for centuries, there's been one symbol from the Bible that's caused a ton of fear and speculation. You know what I'm talking about, the mark of the beast. What is it? And more importantly, how do you avoid it? Well, let's unlock the code and see what the scriptures actually have to say.
So, what exactly is this infamous mark? The Bible makes it super clear that getting it is, well, it's not good. But its real identity? That's probably one of the most debated topics in all of prophecy. So let's break down the clues together and see where they lead. I'm sure you've heard the modern theories. When people talk about the mark of the beast today, they're usually thinking about some kind of future tech. You know, microchips they inject under your skin, a scannable tattoo, maybe a new global digital currency. These ideas are everywhere, but do they actually fit with how the Bible uses symbols?
And here's the key, really the foundation for understanding this whole thing. The Bible is its own best interpreter. It unlocks its own codes. To figure out the mark, we first have to identify the beast. And the answer, it turns out, isn't in Silicon Valley's future, but deep in the pages of ancient history.
Okay, so first things first. The name says it all, right? It's the mark of the beast. That means we can't possibly understand the mark until we know who or what the beast is.
So in Revelation chapter 13, the Apostle John sees this incredible vision. A beast comes up out of the sea, it's got a leopard's body, a bear's feet, a lion's mouth, the whole deal. But hold on, this isn't some literal creature from a monster movie. These are all symbols, and the Bible itself gives us the key to figure out what they mean.
And here's that key. Over in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, the Bible spells it out for us. It says that beasts in prophecy represent kingdoms on earth. This is absolutely crucial. We're not looking for a literal monster, we're looking for a world-ruling government, an empire.
So when you take all the clues, all the symbols from both Daniel and Revelation, and piece them together like a puzzle, they point to one major power in world history, the Roman Empire. Its characteristics, its rise to power, it all lines up perfectly. So from here on out, when we say the beast, we're talking about the Roman Empire.
All right, so if we've correctly identified the beast as the Roman Empire, we can finally move on to the next big step, uncovering its official mark.
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If the beast is an ancient empire, then its mark couldn't be a modern microchip. That just doesn't make sense. It has to be something that existed way back then, something that represented its power and authority.
The prophet Daniel gives us a massive clue. He predicted that this specific power would think to change times and laws. Now that's pretty specific. We're not just talking about any old laws, but God's law, and in particular, one that has to do with time.
And this is where history just clicks right into place. The Roman Empire, which had its roots in pagan sun worship, is the power that historically enforced a change in the day of worship for most of Christianity. It swapped out the biblical seventh-day Sabbath for its own day, Sunday, the first day of the week.
And listen, this wasn't just a friendly suggestion. It was enforced by law. It got so serious that people who held firm and kept honoring the seventh-day Sabbath were persecuted. They were pushed to the edges of society, making it almost impossible to get a job or run a business. In other words, they couldn't buy or sell. Sunday observance literally became a mark of the empire's authority.
Now, what's so fascinating is that the Bible doesn't just talk about the beast's mark all by itself. It actually presents a powerful alternative, a sign that shows who belongs to God.
See, you gotta ask, right? If the beast uses a mark to show who's loyal to it, does God have a way to identify his people? Well, according to the scriptures, the answer is a definite yes. And here it is, crystal clear, right from the book of Exodus. God himself says that his Sabbath is a sign between him and his people, forever. It's the sign that points back to the Creator, the one who made everything in 6 days and rested on the seventh.
You know, the original Hebrew word used here for sign is off. It means a mark, a beacon, a token of identity. Think about it. A country's flag is a sign. A cattle brand is a mark of ownership. In that same way, God's Sabbath is his identifying sign. It proclaims who his people are and who they belong to.
So this really lays it all out, side by side. The whole conflict boils down to two opposing signs of authority. You've got the beast's mark, Sunday observance, which is a law of man, and you've got God's sign, Sabbath observance, a direct commandment from God. One is a sign of obedience to a human system, the other is a sign of obedience to our Creator. So what does it actually mean to receive the mark? It's clearly not just about which day you go to church. It runs much deeper than that. And that's where this whole idea of getting the mark in the forehead or in the hand comes into play.
Once again, the Bible gives us the definition. The forehead represents your mind, your intellect, what you truly believe. And the hand is a symbol of your actions, your work, what you do. So you see, the mark isn't a literal brand. It's a symbol that shows where your true allegiance lies, both in what you believe and how you live.
And how can we be so sure? Because immediately after the Bible warns everyone not to get the mark, it describes God's faithful people, the ones who refuse it. And what's their main characteristic? It says they are the ones who keep the commandments of God. It's a clear-cut contrast between obedience and disobedience.
So here's the bottom line. Receiving the mark of the beast is all about making a conscious choice to put human traditions and human authority above God's direct commandments. It's a choice you make in your mind, your forehead, and a choice you live out through your actions, your hand.
And this just makes it so clear. Scripture presents two distinct paths. A simple choice, really. Path 1, obey the beast's system, which means rejecting God's law and accepting its counterfeit day, and in doing so you receive the mark. Or Path 2, obey God, keep His commandments, accept His Sabbath, and receive His sign.
So in the end, according to these scriptures, every single person bears a sign whether they realize it or not. One sign shows allegiance to the Creator God and His authority. The other shows allegiance to a worldly system that dared to change His law. So the final question this whole thing leaves us with is a deeply personal one. Whose sign do you bear?